This is Christine from Hokema Sewing and Vacuum, and today we are going to talk about flying geese. Now, I have a funny story to tell you about flying geese. Way back when I first started going to Baby Lock Tech with Hardy, which is a trade show and it's training with the Baby Lock product, and I was going as his wife, but I was also going to learn. And they offered different classes that we could choose to take, and one of those classes was called Flying Geese. Well, I didn't know what a flying geese was, and I thought, why would I want to make a wall hanging that had flying geese on it? I was thinking about literally geese that were flying. And I thought that was very 70s and 80s. And this was around 2016 or so, or 17. And that just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Well, the reason it didn't make sense to me is because I didn't understand what a flying geese was in quilting. And this is what it is. It is a triangle in the middle, pointed up or down, with two corner pieces. This is called a flying geese. And that's actually one of the reasons why, and that experience, why we're doing this series of basic quilting blocks. That and Melissa here in store is not a quilter, she's a bag maker. And so she's getting familiar with these terms as well and how we accomplish them. And they're really not hard once you understand them, but we wanted to make it a little more approachable and give you the terms so that you don't feel like you're talking a different language than everybody else. So again, this is a flying geese, and the way that we are going to handle that is we are going to take two squares and a rectangle to make this piece. So here is our rectangle. Okay, we're going to take our two squares, and these are going to overlap. So I'm only going to actually sew with one right now. They're going to overlap about 1/4 of an inch, roughly here. Okay, and you can kind of see that. But we're not going to worry about that just yet. You will notice that there are lines that are drawn, and with that, they're going to overlap a little bit. Well, right now we're only going to work with one. Those lines are drawn corner to corner, and if you watched our half square triangle, you may remember that we sewed 1/4 inch and 1/4 inch from that line in that one. But on this case, we're actually going to sew on this line. And I like to use my guide beam that's here on my Baby Lock Chorus to help me with that. Right now it's been set to my 1/4 inch. I need to move it back over to where my needle is. So I'm going to do that, and that's my center position. And we've got really nice marking here to help me get that line perfectly up without having to really think about it too much. So I have lined this up with my corners. I'm going to do that again because I played with it a little bit. So line it up, put my foot down, and I'm just going to use that guide beam to help me keep things straight right into that corner. Okay. Oops, I should have used my cutter, but I didn't, so we're just going to come back in here with my scissors. Okay, now I have, in almost every other video we've done so far, I have used a leader. Today I did not. And I want to show you the reason I use that leader, because sometimes we get this, where it's just a little buildup of thread. Doesn't really affect anything, but it might make my seams a little more bulky than I want. And on more intricate designs than this, it might not lay down the way I want it to. So it's important to use that leader to help prevent that. So we're going to go ahead and do that right now. Now I'm going to take my other piece. Okay. Now, on this guy, what I want to do at this point before I do that is I actually want to trim my 1/4 inch away. Okay. Now, if I were doing this, I would do a whole bunch at one time, take it to my cutting mat and use my ruler because it's going to be more accurate. But for our purposes today, I'm just going to cut approximately 1/4 inch away. Now, you can save those. You can do some crumb coating or not crumb coating. My cake background is showing some crumb piecing, and I'll show you that in another video. Or you can make a teeny tiny block. So what I'm going to do right now is I am just going to come in here and I'm going to finger press this. Now again, Ideally, I would be doing a whole bunch of these and I would take them to my iron. But for today, we're just going to do a finger press so I can show you the concept. Okay. Then what I want to do is I want to take my other piece of fabric and I want to place it down. Now, I am working with batiks today, which means they are two-sided fabrics. If you are working with a traditional printed fabric, you're going to make sure that your pretty side is down. This is batiks. Both sides are pretty in batik, so I don't really have to worry about that. Now, when I am doing this kind of sewing, I always start at the top of my flying geese. I always want to start at the top and work into my corner. Okay, so I'm going to line that back up with my needle and with my guide beam. I'm going to go ahead and hit my start and stop button. Now I am using the pivot function on this machine, which means when I stop, my needle goes down, my foot comes up, so I can maneuver my fabric. I'm going to go ahead and trim that using my automatic thread cutter on this machine. Another must-have feature anymore. I know I'm spoiled. I absolutely love it. All of these features on this machine make sewing an absolute joy. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to go ahead and come back in. And something you can do at this point is just to kind of fold this back over and make sure that everything is the way you want it, and that looks really good. So I'm going to go ahead and come in here and I am going to trim my 1/4 inch, because this is what you would be removing. Again, give it a little finger press. And that is a flying geese. Now, this is used in conjunction with a lot of other pieces to create other shapes. Now, you could have a piece on a quilt that perhaps was just a couple of flying geese together in one direction, where it looks like arrows are all pointing in one direction. This looks really cool on a quilt. I have also seen these done where somebody has pieced the backing and just had a strip of these going up it. Looked really cool, almost created a secondary quilt. It would actually be a very quick way to create a quilt to go ahead and make these for the full length of the quilt. Put a strip of fabric over here, same fabric over here, maybe a little wider with this being offset. Very modern looking quilt, but very quick to put together, but impressive looking as well. Now, if I put these two together, look what I get. I get a square, but I get a square that's got the diamond. It's diamond shape, so I'm not having to try to piece something at an odd angle. Put this together like this. I have that square look, so that's something else I can do with this. I can also put this with other fabric to create hearts. In fact, I am going to go ahead and pause you for just a moment. All right, I am back here, and I'm actually here with the block that I made. You can see I actually did this on the serger, and we'll do another video on that at another date, because you can piece with your serger, especially your baby locks. They're so wonderful for that. But this is that flying geese that we just did, and you can kind of see that there. Okay, that's where that shape came from. Now this is a strip of fabric here in the same pattern, and then down here I have 2 half square triangles that are put together in the middle to form the bottom of my heart, and then they're framed out. A lot of things we can do with these blocks. If you found this video helpful, consider liking and subscribing. You can find us online at Hokum Is Not Dead, or you can find us in real life at 2736 Bocelli Lane in Redding, California. We look forward to seeing you soon.